So we all have insurance to drive our cars on the road. And every car driver, you wish from the day you sign up for that insurance, you wish you never have to use it. Because if you use their insurance, you got in an accident and things are not good. Regardless if they're going to cover things and take care of things, nobody wants to get in a car accident. You paid so much for this car and now it's in an accident. But here's the trend that I'm noticing with insurance companies, and it's unfortunately a trend that have led my shop not to work with insurance companies anymore. Believe it or not, that is something, it breaks my heart to say this. I no longer work with insurance companies, car insurance companies for repairs because of a situation with a customer that just defied anything that I have ever seen with insurance companies. Let's get into it and I'll tell you what actually happened here. So before we dig into the scenario that happened that made me make this final decision and we are done, we're no longer working with insurance companies, let me tell you something about insurance companies. Here's the process from a shop standpoint. Now, I'm not a body shop. Usually mechanical shops don't deal a lot with insurance, but occasionally we actually do. Your car gets in an accident. Let's say you went over a curb, damaged the suspension completely. Well, the insurance company, they usually, and this is something that apparently changed since the pandemic, they usually, before the pandemic, you get in an accident, your car's at a shop, they're going to send an adjuster, who is a very knowledgeable person, usually, that knows their job. They're going to come in, they're going to go over the estimate that the shop wrote for the repair of this car. Here's what the car needs. He's going to see everything. We're going to discuss things. And then right there and then, usually the adjuster will go back in their car, sit on their laptop, figure out what we need to do. He's going to put it in their internal system, the final estimate. He's going to hand you a paper. Sometimes they even hand you a check or hand the check to the customer and say, approved, go for it. If you need anything, send us a supplement request, meaning you took the car apart, you found something else that is damaged as well from that accident. You send a supplement, hey, we need an additional repair part, whatever the case may be. Please review it for approval. That's usually how it works. And usually, look, I'll just be honest how these things go with insurance companies. Usually there's a hassle, not a hassle, but it's like a little bit of old school wheel and deal negotiations. They'll come up with a labor time, usually close to the labor time that is fair. You'll start going back and forth, parts, same thing. Some insurance companies, the smaller ones, they usually go with cheap parts and used parts and this and that. I get that part. But usually, bigger companies, they'll want you to be as inclusive in your estimate to begin with as possible, so they know if they're going to total this car or not, because that's very important, and that should be taken always seriously, because if the damage is severe, car needs to be totaled by law first, and then for the best outcome for both. That is important. Now here's the scenario that happened that just changed everything. I've worked with some insurance companies since we opened the shop in 2022. Things were standard. The adjuster came out, we talked and everything. But I'm noticing a trend with bigger companies, which is very concerning. Here's a scenario. We have this beautiful RAV4 hybrid. It's a newer one. It doesn't have a lot of miles. Very dear customer of ours. This customer, actually, I know him personally. I know his family. His I think, nephew goes with one of my kids to school. He got in an accident overnight, and the suspension was completely destroyed. I mean, the car was completely disabled. Of course, you can't drive it anymore. So it was at night. He towed the car to our shop, and he called me. So we had to go there and figure it out and get the car secured and everything. But the next day, I come in, I start assessing the damage. Now, this is a car that's just sitting on the ground, basically. There's no suspension. We get the car on go jacks, we start moving it, and it was just a giant hurdle because we don't want to cause more damage. This is the problem when you get in accidents that disable the cars, suspension-wise. Usually a lot more damage happens getting it on the tow truck and off the tow truck and moving it around the shop. Customer comes in, looks at the car, takes a few pictures, calls their insurance to start the claim. The insurance company tells him, can you send us the pictures? Okay. That was kind of strange. Why do you need the pictures? We haven't even looked. Anyways, sends them the pictures. Car is here. I inspect the car. We write an estimate on the car. The estimate came out to $17,000. welcome to the new cars. This is a newer car. So here's the bottom line on this. The passenger side suspension is completely gone. Struts, knuckle, brakes, control, everything, the wheel. But here's the worst part. It ripped the control arm out of the subframe. So the subframe is completely damaged. Axle, completely damaged. It is so severe, this accident, that it's just, I usually don't, you hit a curb, you break a ball joint. It's not going to damage the subframe. This thing was so severe, the subframe is completely ripped. That's why the estimate is so high. Just the subframe is almost $3,000. These are Toyota prices. Majority of this is parts. The steering rack is almost $3,000 because it's an electric rack. The knuckle and all them aluminum knuckles are so expensive, folks. It's ridiculous. Labor. Let's talk labor. Labor in the book. So here's how the automotive industry, just briefly, how we come up with labor times. So we don't come up with labor times. There is labor guides out there. There's Motor, there's ALLDATA, there's Mitchell, there's many others. We in our shop, we use Motor. Just a reference. By the way, these labor guides, half of them are wrong. It's a reference of how much is kind of the industry standard of labor times. I usually look at that and go, this is too high. Like control arms, for example. I just quoted a set of control arms, I believe on an Avalon. You look up in Motor Guide, this comes up to 17.7 hours. Having experience with these cars, that's ridiculous. That's flat out robbery. I charge 6 hours because I think that's more than fair for me, fair for the customer, not 17 hours. And then there are other cases where exhaust manifold on a GX470 pays out 1.3 hour and 15-20 minutes. I would like the person who wrote that to please educate me how that you can pull a exhaust manifold out of a GX470 in that time, please, because you would be a superhuman. So labor times are a reference point. In the Motor Guide, the subframe on that particular RAV4 was 17.5 hours. And that is actually fair. It's not a simple subframe to pull. But on top of the subframe, I still have to do the axle, which does not come off with the subframe. I have to do the strut, which does not come off with the subframe. I have to do the knuckle, the bearing, everything else, which does not come off with the subframe. Plus, we have wheel damage. And I also added a cost of transport because it literally, every time we move this car, we have to stop the entire shop, have everybody pushing this car for at least an hour just to move it from one place to the other without damaging it. I'm sorry. We are a place of business. We do charge for this stuff. I quoted 23 hours. If the insurance was going to come up and say, well, we're only paying 17 and a half, we're close. We can talk. Let's meet in the middle. 20 hours, 19, something like that. I can make something work to keep the job going and get my customer back in their car and back home, and we move on with our lives. Here's how this went. This went so south. It's unbelievable. And I will not name the company here, but it is a big company, a company that many of us, if we have insurance with this company, we will feel like we are top of the cloud. We have a great company behind us. And this is what was shocking. I got on a call with an adjuster. He's like, I will not come there. I'm like, this is major, brother. You need to get here. You need to see this stuff because this car's damage is severe. No, I don't need to be there. Let's jump on a Zoom call. I'm like, Zoom call? Are you serious right now? We're about to spend a unbelievable amount of money of your money. You need to be here in person. We need to go through this. You need to see this thing. Well, okay, let me figure out an adjuster because I'm actually in, I think he said Florida at the time. Okay, well, I'm talking to somebody from Florida, even though we're somewhat of a local company. In the midst of this, at this point, I told him, I have my estimate ready. Do you want me to send it? No. We'll send an adjuster and you can talk to this estimate with him. Cool. I wait. All of a sudden, I get an email, customer gets an email, estimate is approved. Here's the repair estimate. It's approved, it's done, and the customer, after a few days, gets a check. I'm like, wait a second, that's not what we talked about. I told you send an adjuster. You didn't even see my estimate. Nothing. He went off the pictures that the customer initially sent didn't include the subframe, didn't include half the stuff that the car needs. 90% of the parts are either used or cheapest aftermarket available. And the labor time. This is the biggest insult that I've ever gotten in my entire career. 9.8 hours. Now, he did not quote everything. That's fine. I told him our labor rate. Even the labor rate was not correct. It was less. It's like, what is going on here? I called the adjuster. No answer. I emailed the adjuster. No answer. I contact the customer. Hey, they're not answering me here. The car now has been here for over a week. I can't also keep storing it because I have limited space. I can't just keep this car here forever. We need to move on this. I'm just letting you know they're not responding to me. It takes a customer an entire week to get a hold of somebody that can actually talk about this, to tell him, yep, that's the repair estimate, we ain't adjusting it. If they want, send a supplement. We haven't even begun the repair to send a supplement. I already told you from the beginning that this needs a subframe. Subframe is damaged. How can I send a supplement? And the customer was trying to figure out, well, it's on their website. Let's write a supplement. I'm like, but this is not a supplement. We're still at the initial stage of the estimate. We haven't even begun the repairs to send a supplement. That's not how this works. Back, forth. Another complete week passes. Now we are approaching week 4, actually, at this point, from the whole thing in and out. The customer rental is about to run out. They only give you 30 days. The customer finally pushes on their agent, who sold them the insurance to begin with, goes through the motions, and finally, I have an adjuster that showed up. I have worked with a lot of adjusters over the years, from my days at the dealership, and even here. Adjuster shows up, super professional. First thing they do, give you their card. They have a laptop or a piece of paper or something in their hand where they're going to take notes, take pictures, get down to business. I have an adjuster that showed up. He's probably a very fine gentleman personally, but professionally, very unprofessional. Doesn't introduce themselves, no business card, no any professional etiquette, nothing. Hey, where's the car? Right here. Nothing in his hands, no picture, nothing. He shows up, oh yeah, that subframe is, okay. Well, can you guys just put it on a lift and put it on? I'm like, I cannot do that. Because first, you did not give me a heads up that you were going to be here so I could move the car. And it's probably going to take me at least half an hour to 45 minutes to free up a rack so I can get it in there. If you would have gave me a heads up, I would have had it ready. Well, then I can't do anything. What do you mean? Let's work together. I can lift it here and show you everything. All agitated, not wanting to help anything. Finally, he pulls out his phone, takes a few pictures, and I told him, whatever you need, you just got to give me time because I can't just stop my shop for this one car. Next thing I know, I left him with the car to check it out, take some pictures. He just leaves without saying anything. He just walks out the door. Okay, well, maybe he was just having a bad day. No worries. Well, as long as he develops results. He comes back with a lower estimate than what we initially wrote. Can you believe that? Now the labor went down to 7.3. The only thing he did, we initially quoted 2 wheels, 2 tires. Well, I don't do tires here. We were going to sublet it, but 2 wheels, 2 tires. Because the rear wheel was also damaged and the tire was damaged as well. He said the wheel was fine. Even though I told him clearly, this wheel has cosmetic damage. The tire is off the wheel. I don't do tires here. This wheel needs to go to a tire shop, get balanced and checked. But we are going to put it in the estimate initially, but this needs to be checked. If you want to remove it, that's fine. But he immediately removed it without even any regard to, hey, you need to check the balance. This wheel might be bent. Doesn't care. Lowers the estimate even more. Lowers the labor, lowers everything. And then I try to get in touch with the company again. Hey guys, you put all these used parts here. Are you supplying these? Because when I check with my supplier of used parts, I work with LKQ, or say that company, their prices are nearly double what you quoted here. So who's gonna cover up the difference? Because usually insurance companies, when they get discounts and whatever, they usually supply the parts. Hey, here's a bunch of parts, put them on the car, let's get it done. And that was the first concern. The second concern is the strut. This is I believe an XSE RAV4. It has the blue struts. They are specific struts for the sport trim. You quoted a Monroe strut that is just a random strut. So we're going to have one sports strut, one regular strut. That is going to create a very interesting just handling characteristic. I'm trying to debate. He's like, yep, we're done. Send a supplement. I'm like, well, we haven't. That's when I stopped. I called the customer. I'm like, listen, love you. Love to help you, but I'm done. Get this car out. Otherwise, I am charging you storage fees until you figure this out, because I am not working with this insurance company anymore. They are not even willing to listen. I'm sorry. Let's just go to the beginning here. Who is fixing the car? Who is going to warranty this job? Who is actually doing the repair? The insurance company or me? I am the one doing the repairs. I am the one who's going to have to put my name on this car, hand the keys to the customer, knowing very well that this customer is going to put their family in this car, and I am liable for that. But that's not how this works. This is how insurance companies have become, apparently, because I had immediately after that another running with a stolen catalytic converter. Ironically, same insurance company. They dragged it on for, a stolen catalytic converter. It's cut and dry. There's nothing there. They stole it. We need to replace it and move on with our lives. There's no way around it. It happens to be a specific Lexus hybrid that you do not have any aftermarket option, any used options, nothing. And the catalytic converter is $6,000. I don't make the prices. That's Lexus prices. And I agree, it's just ridiculous. But I don't make the prices. They dragged that on for multiple days, trying to get a discount and trying to do, it's like, who is paying for storing the car here? And I hope you have your customer in a rental, because you're taking away their car while you're trying to save a buck. That's the problem. And guess what happened with the owner of the first car, the one with the major accident? He's paying for his own rental now because they dragged on and on and on and on and on until they told him, oh, just tow it to our approved facility and they'll take care of it with our estimate. I basically looked the customer in the eye and told him, you can do that, but just know, their estimate, this car will never drive the same. Just so you know that. That strut needs to be matched. If you're going to put non-sport struts, you need to put both, not just the one. Because now you have uneven struts. This one has a different rate than this one. I get the used parts. Used cars are fine. They're original parts. It's a newer car. Maybe we'll get one with lower miles and we're okay. But the aftermarket stuff and the lack of care. This customer now is paying for their own rental while they take their time to source all these parts and figure it out. This is not right. If you are in the insurance industry, this is not right. And I hope this video will help bring awareness to this. Nobody is perfect. Everybody makes mistakes. And I really hope that this was an isolated incident, because right after that, I spoke to two body shop owners. This is all they deal with. Friends of mine. This is all they deal with is insurance claims. Their body shop. And they've informed me that this was actually not bad. They were like, things get so bad with insurance companies that instead of arguing with them and trying, he says, we just get the job done to get the car out so we can get paid something. That is not right. Flat out, not right. Folks, the automotive industry is very tough. Costs are super high. Running a shop is extremely expensive. I never understood why shop owners are always stressed about every little detail until I became one. It is so expensive to run a place. And the things that it feels like sometimes feels like you're a firefighter. You're just putting out fires. Here, 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 and then back to the beginning. It feels like that sometimes. It's not a complaint. I am blessed to have this place. But that's the reality. Things are expensive. And then having a car sit here does not pay the bills. I need the car in, agreed on, put on the schedule, worked on, fixed, tested, proven, out the door, so we can make a living and move on. Not have a car sit here while the insurance company is figuring out how they're going to save themselves money. To me, at the expense of the owner of the car, because they're trying to basically glue the car back together cheapest way possible just to get it out the door. That's not right. Folks, insurance companies this is almost like it offends me to my core when they walk in here. This is not their facility. They don't contribute anything to this building, and they demand things like that. They just throw an estimate in your face. Here you go. This is what we're paying. Well, here's my answer to that. Next, we're going to talk about extended warranty companies because they're getting similar habits. Here's my answer to that as a mechanic, as a shop owner. You do the work then. I'm not cutting my guys' times and pay and my family's pay because it's convenient for you. That is not right. The job pays what the job pays. If you want a discount, I'll give that. If I'm going to give a discount, I'll give it to my loyal customer, not to a multi-million-dollar insurance company. That my loyal customer paid their insurance every single month, and there's not cheap. Not cheap. That's not right, folks. Let's talk about extended warranties briefly. Look, folks, there's a lot of really good extended warranties out there that they're not out to scam nobody. They're actually legit companies. There's a lot of really bad ones. There's those in between. Extended warranty on a car is not a scam. If you do your proper research, I'll leave a video here where we delve into details and whatnot, but let me show you the trend of extended warranties, and I'm noticing things are getting worse and worse and worse. Granted, they are not the bigger companies that are known and good, the medium companies. I've had a couple interactions I'll give you examples of with a couple companies that just made me, are you serious right now? So, first car, radiator's leaking. I mean, it's very simple. I think it was a Camry. Radiator's leaking. Cut and dry. Coolant on the shields, car is leaking. They usually, for small repairs, I think $1,000 or less, they won't send an adjuster, and I get it. You know, adjusters with extended warranties, at least most of them, they actually send a third-party adjuster, not their own adjuster, just kind of an independent adjuster to come in, get all the facts, and supply a report. So that's cost them money, and I get it. If it's a small repair, we're not going to radiator. Well, it's not over $1,000. They want pictures, which I get. That's fair and square. They want a picture of the VIN number. They want a picture of the miles. They want a picture of the car to verify that we're not scamming them. Unfortunately, it does happen. So I usually have all this stuff ready, full written estimate. Here's the estimate. Here are the pictures of the damage. Fair and square. Why had an insurance company tell me, well, this is not a bad enough leak? Like, it's literally dripping coolant. I mean, how do you want me to shoot a video of the coolant coming out of the radiator as we run the car? That's not realistic. I'm not also going to spend 3 hours to get you a professional quality video for you to see the leak. If you want to really see it, well, come down here and see it. I'll gladly show you. Just like I would show customers if they were questioning anything. He went back and forth, and no, this is not a big leak. We don't feel like this is... I flat out had to stop because now I felt like my time was being wasted and my customer's time was being wasted. I flat out told him, look, would you like to repair this radiator because it's fair and square and it's covered in your contract? Or would you like to leave it as it is and have the customer keep driving the car the way it is? This engine will run out of coolant, overheat, get severe damage, and then you will pay for an engine. So which one is it going to be? You know what his answer was to me? Well, it's the customer's responsibility to check coolant levels. True. But we have a leak, which leads me to the biggest thing with extended warranties, and insurance companies as well. Who is fixing the car? And who is the adjuster to decide what this car needs and doesn't need? Are you the person fixing cars? Because I've spoken with all kinds of adjusters. Some of them really know what they are talking about. They are retired mechanics. They've been in the automotive industry for a long time. They actually know. And usually those types, you don't have to really tell them much. Here's the car. Here's what we got. That's all they need. They can see it. They have the experience and they know what's going on. They see it. Yep. Cut and dry. I've had extended warranty adjusters and even insurance adjusters that are experienced, that know what they're doing. They actually add things to the estimate. I'm like, hey, I don't feel comfortable about this. I know you want to do this, but I don't feel comfortable about this. Let's go further. I had actually a customer with an extended warranty. This is a good example of a good adjuster. It needed a torque converter. It was a RAV4 out of the campaign from Toyota. Needs a torque converter. It's cut and dry. This is a very normal issue. Adjuster comes in. He's like, I don't like this. I don't want to just put a torque converter. I'm like, brother, we do this repair a lot. This transmission will be okay. We just need a torque converter. He's like, no, we're putting a transmission in this car with a torque converter. Like, okay, well, I mean, it's you're paying for this, so if you approve it, well, that's up to you. But all this car needs is a torque converter. They actually approved the transmission on that car. Sometimes when you have somebody knows what they're talking about, they will go further. But my problem is they're filling up with folks that have no clue. They will ask you the strangest questions ever. Second case, that just now I am at a borderline where I will not work with extended warranty companies if they continue down this path. I already don't work with insurance companies. Any customer comes in, sorry, I will give you an estimate. I will give you a few days to figure it out with your insurance. After that, I am charging you storage fees because I have limited space. I can't just keep waiting for months until you figure it out with your insurance companies because I've been burned out by this. I'm done with insurance companies. But extended warranties. I had an extended warranty doing a head gasket job on a car that is leaking. The adjuster flat out told me, if it's just the gasket leaking, I can't cover it. But if you say that the water pump is leaking, that's why the head gasket went, then we will cover it. Basically hinting to me that I should lie to get this job covered. I'm sorry. Life's too short to lie about stuff like that. Not gonna happen. No, the water pump is perfectly fine. The head gasket is leaking. And by the way, Mr. Adjuster that don't know what you're talking about, I have the contract in front of me. It clearly states gaskets and seals are covered, including head gasket. So what are you talking about? They covered it. But here's the best part. That car also needed hoses that were leaking, radiator hoses. Put it in the estimate. I usually quote hoses and clamps, spring clamps. When they're old, you want to replace them, they lose tension. Oh, we cover the hoses, but not the clamps. I'm like, so how are the hoses gonna hold? You know what his answer is? I don't know. That's your problem. What do you mean it's my problem? We're talking about a $20, all the clamps are all $20. You're spending $4,000 on a head gasket repair, and you don't want to spend $20 more? And then the next adjuster, this is the last one. We do a job, and I forgot what the job was. This was a little while ago. We don't cover coolant. We don't cover fluids. Well, what do you want me to do then? Charge the customer for coolant? You're supposed to cover the whole repair. That's part of the repair. You drain coolant for something, you get new coolant. We're not gonna use the same coolant and put it back in the car. I don't do that. They are getting down the same path of they know best, and we're just the herd of sheep that follows. That's not right. And I'm pretty sure shop owners, if anybody is watching, this is my shop, this is my customer. I put my name on this car. It needs to be done and done right, not to the way that saves the extended warranty or the insurance company money. Folks, it really breaks my heart. It breaks my heart that these industries, they were decent. They were never perfect. Nobody ever is. Nobody is. But they were decent. Now, they're trending south. And that is unfortunately why I don't work with insurance companies out there, because the way they do things these days, just unethical, not right. They delayed that customer so much, and it breaks my heart that I had to have the conversation I had with that customer. But in the end, I am not doing the job for a 50% discount for a major corporation that my customer pays every single month to them. If I'm going to give a discount, it's going to be to my customer, not to a multi-million-dollar corporation. That's not going to happen. Flat out. A multi-million-dollar corporation, that it is their duty to take care of the customer car or total it. Total the car. It's fine. If the damage exceeds the mechanical limits of this car, I get it. Total the car. Customer may be upset, but in the end, every time your car gets totaled in an accident or an event, you're actually ahead, because if you fix this car, you'll have nothing but headaches. Flat out. Folks, join me in pushing on insurance companies and extended warranty companies to do the right thing. I get it that there are also folks trying to make a living. They will. Nobody wants to get in an accident. Everybody wants to pay their insurance and never have to deal with it ever again, which is great for the insurance companies. But unfortunately, the world we live in, things happen. That's why they're called accidents. But join me in putting pressure on them. Do the right thing. Do the right thing. And the same thing with shop owners. Do the right thing. When you quote an insurance company, quote them fairly. Because I feel like sometimes they started trending this way because of the games that some shop owners will play as well. Not all of them, it's actually a minority, but usually when few do bad things, everybody gets the reputation. That's a problem. Folks, I hope this video was helpful and informative. I hope you learned something new. If you like it, consider giving it a thumbs up. If you're not a subscriber, consider subscribing to the channel. Check out some other videos. Until the next video, folks, may the Lord bless you and keep you, and you have yourself a wonderful day.